Back with Ron Herndon and Tony Hopson talking about the 1803 fund and the $400 million gift from Phil Knight for that fund. Let's take a look at the neighborhood that we're talking about, the Albina neighborhood. We have a map that we can bring up. And it has a number of neighborhoods within the Albina area. We're talking about Humboldt, Arbor Lodge, Overlook, a number of neighborhoods that are within what we refer to as the Albina area. And that area has a real history that you've been a part of. Both of you have been a part of, but especially Mr. Herndon over the course of decades. There have been some political and economic, social shifts that have happened within the Albina neighborhood that you've witnessed, which brings a little context to this whole gift, the 1803 fund. So just talk about the history of Albina and what brought us to this point.
Well, I'm not sure how far you want to go back, but when Oregon became a territory in the 1850s, if my memory serves me right, it said that no black people would be allowed in Oregon, whether they were free or slave, and if they were here, they were given a certain number of months to leave. And if they didn't leave in that period of time, they were to be brought in and flogged. So because of that history, when Oregon became a state, it passed laws that said essentially the same thing: no black people allowed, free or slave. So you always had a very, very small black population in Oregon. In the 1920s, even with a small black population, Oregon had the biggest Ku Klux Klan chapter west of the Mississippi. So racism was embedded in Oregon from its inception, and there were very few black people here until World War II. World War II, Kaiser shipbuilding set up on the edges of Portland and in Vancouver. They recruited thousands of black workers from the South and from the East. They advertised in black newspapers with posters up. So you had an influx of thousands of black people, and they were greeted with signs that no colored allowed. They were put in very segregated housing around the shipyard. After the war was over, there's no need for that labor, so there were efforts made to push people out. Then came the flood that
the Vanport flood of 1948.
Exactly.
Yes.
So black people lost that housing. They were pushed into Portland. Ultimately, they were pushed into the Albina neighborhood. During that time, the Realtors Code said it was illegal for any realtor to sell a house to a black person outside of a prescribed area, which was Albina. So that's how Albina became the home for the majority of black folks in Portland. It was a process that was organized by those in leadership. And when it came to the point that they did not want to see black people in that concentrated area, they began to destroy the community through redlining, through the construction of Memorial Coliseum, through the construction of the administration building for Portland Public Schools, expansion of Emmanuel Hospital, and I-5 going right through the community. So there were efforts made from the inception of Oregon to limit the number of people in Oregon, and once black people arrived here, to very closely control not only where they live, but their opportunities to develop whatever educational opportunities they could receive were always very, very limited, purposely done.
Yeah, and this really created a situation where it was difficult to create generational wealth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's where your organization comes in, Self-Enhancement Incorporated, to empower more people to create those opportunities even to this day, correct?
Yeah. Absolutely. Pushing back, because what Ronnie described, I actually lived it because I'm born and raised in Portland, so I can remember a sense of community that we saw begin to disappear. I lived 2 blocks from the I-5 corridor and watched houses being destroyed and friends having to move out of that area, and just the whole sense of community tend to disappear. So through self-enhancement, what we've tried to do is to provide a holistic approach and provide all of the options and opportunities that a community and individuals within a community will need, not only to survive, but to thrive. And what we saw happening took a lot of that away. So developing programmatic efforts that connects to education and to the job and employment world provides those options and opportunities for folks who look like me, as I said, to thrive.
Getting back to the 1803 fund, how will the board determine how the money will be used? What will be the priorities? You know, are you going to give it to organizations, dole it out to organizations? Are you going to start your own projects under the 1803 banner? How's that going to work?
Well, I think this is not your normal foundation that folks can apply for resources. There's 3 areas that we've talked about already, education being the main area. We've also talked about place, and we've talked about culture. So we have some initial thoughts. There are some very successful organizations already within our community. Albina, Head Start, and SCI are 2 of them. I will say that as we had conversations with Phil Knight about this, one of the things that he said early is that I would like to see these 2 programs, in his words, on steroids. So certainly these 2 programs will be a major foundational piece of this, but there will be several other opportunities for other organizations that are already up and running in our community doing successful work. As I've said, in order to make the difference, it's going to take a collaborative effort that drills deeper and wider to connect with a much larger portion of our community. There's only 60-something thousand African Americans in the Portland metropolitan area. Between our 2 programs, we're already touching over 20,000 of those individuals. If we can partner with some other successful organizations, we believe that we can maybe get up to 50,000 and then have the kind of support and activities that realistically does become transformational.
We're in a racially charged climate right now. Do you anticipate any pushback from people who think this is favoritism for black folks at the expense of others?
Well, there are still people who think that the astronauts landed in the desert in Arizona and they never made it to the moon. So I won't be surprised if there are some people who feel that way. Our progress has never been determined by the lowest common denominator of understanding among large groups of people. We have a plan that we're going to develop. We've shown that we're able to work over decades to pursue programs to help the black community. We intend to do that going forward, and we intend to organize very, very carefully. The fact that some people oppose that, that's to be expected, but that cannot be the primary motivating factor for us, is to try to address the concerns of a few people, or maybe a large number of people who think this never should have happened. If they have a problem with that, go argue with Phil Knight. Or better yet, go start your own sneaker company, become a multi-billionaire, then you can give money to who you want to. Most importantly, Phil Knight contacted us and asked us for ideas on how we could address issues that impact the black community in Portland. That's the most important part of this conversation.
I am looking forward to see what comes out of the 1803 fund. You definitely have somebody at the head handling the money who knows what she's doing, in Rakaya Adams, who we hope to have on this show in the near future when we're able to get her. So thank you, Ron Herndon. Thank you, Tony Hopson, for being here on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for the opportunity.